All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for hopping on tonight's team call. So let's start off with some announcements. Hopefully you guys have watched the Super Saturday video from this past weekend. If not, I believe it's in the Coach 401 page. I'm sure you can find it in the Coach Online office and a million other places, but definitely make sure you check that out. He did announce a lot of things, but the one thing I wanted to make two things I wanted to make sure that you knew that starting as of yesterday, they have no additional shipping costs for customers in the US and Canada if you already have an active subscription and want to add something else to that subscription. So let's break this down. If you already have Shakeology Home Direct, that's $2 for shipping, right? Let's say you wanted to add your Energize Home Direct onto that same date. You don't pay anything extra. It's still just that $2 shipping. So hopefully we all have our Shakeology. So if you wanted to add anything else to that Home Direct order, it's only $2, or it's only $2, not $2 more, just $2 flat. So I think that's super helpful for everyone, knowing that the shipping costs are going way down if you kind of bundle it like that all together. All you have to do is go in your Coach Online or go into teambeachbody.com, log in, and then where it says like my account at the top, just go into my orders, and then you can just maneuver things however you want it. Second thing I wanted to make sure that you guys notice, and hopefully you noticed in our team page as well, is the Take Action Challenge, which is going on for April, May, and June. And guys, if you haven't hopped on board with this yet, there's plenty of time, but freaking start doing it. Number one, it's going to help you grow your business, right? Number two, amazing, amazing prizes. Hopefully you guys can see that.
Hell yeah!
Hold on, Jenna. I'm getting there, Jenna. I'm getting there. Jenna, do you want to explain how you can participate?
Do you want me to?
Challenge?
Yeah, so basically you're just using the new digital tracker in the Coach Online office. It's under Grow My Business. If you like scroll down, you'll see it. And every day, if you just go in and do at least 50% of the tracker, you're getting an entry. And there's a fact that has like all of the prizes, but the top prize is a trip to Riviera Maya, and we won. So we were totally pumped. If you didn't like see my story yesterday, I actually thought we booked our Success Club trip and I did it in Mike's account. So I thought that it was just like him getting the confirmation for it. And I'm like, no, like dummy, like it's just the confirmation. He's like, no, like this is a different trip. Like we won it. So we were really excited, but you get entries for filling out that tracker. You get entries for inviting people to your bod group. You get entries if they accept your invite. So do it. It's part of your job.
You never know. And like Jenna said, she was someone who never won anything, and she won the best thing ever. And they are also giving the MyX Fitness bikes away as well. That's once a month. So I think only a few people get that, not many people. But dude, I'll take $100. I'll take $500, and I'll definitely take a trip. So make sure, if you're like, where's a daily activity tracker? I just showed you guys. It's right here. Grow My Business, and then daily activity tracker. Know your business, right? So we have a super special guest speaker on the call with us tonight. And I think some of you already watched her video in the team page. If you haven't, you can go do that after this call. But Jillian Kaplan is super inspiring. And I think some of us remember watching her video at either like a Super Saturday or I think it was either Super Saturday that video was released. But what a testament to how this business, and not even the business part, but just the community and the accountability and the support and just everything can support you during life's like craziest freaking challenges ever. So Jillian, thanks so much for hopping on the call with us tonight. She is, I know you're at least a 5-star diamond and above, an elite coach. She's been working the business still to this day while working full-time as a mom, earning a full-time income with Beachbody, working part-time. And that's what she's going to talk to us about tonight. So Jillian, thank you. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. Excited to be here. So a little bit about my background. If you haven't watched the video yet, I've been a coach since July 2014. So 6.5 years. I can't believe it's been that long. And I started the business solely for the discount, probably like many of you. I have a 9 to 5 that I love. And I started to see some growth in the business. So my background is engineering. And so I'm like really into math. And I started to look at like the Emerald cost analysis. If you guys haven't seen that, it's emeraldcostanalysis.com. I always recommend people go look at that to understand really the value in getting to Emerald and why it's super important. I'm going to talk to you guys about time management today, but I started this business, and I think it's really important to note we always talk about having a big why, and I didn't have one. But I had a lot of desire and passion in my own fitness journey and desire to help people. So I think that sometimes discipline can trump a why. And I know that people will disagree with me, and that's okay, but I didn't have a why when I started. And I distinctly remember sitting with a corporate mentor who doesn't work here anymore. And I had just gone Premier. It was my first full year as a coach. Or I'd hit 2-star. I'm sorry. I'd hit 2-star, and I was shooting for 5-star by the end of the year to hit elite. He's like, well, what's your why? Don't you want to stay home with your kid? I'm like, at the time I didn't have a kid. I'm like, I don't have a kid. He's like, don't you want to quit your job? I'm like, not really. Don't you want to do this? And I was like, no, I don't want to do any of those things. I just really love this business. And he looked at me and he was like, I don't know why you're successful. And I was like, okay, well, just watch. Right. So I continued to grow my business. And then in August 2016, right after Summit, I literally just got home from Summit. I had gotten an email I was going to be in the Core de Force test group. And this was back when test groups were really small. It was like 60 of us, and they were like very hand-picked, and it was a big deal. It was the first test group I was asked to be in. And I was crossing a crosswalk with my dog, broad daylight in the morning before work, and I was hit by a car at about 40 miles an hour. And I had a brain surgery. I shattered my pelvis. I'd said I'd never walk again. If you see me, you'd have absolutely no idea. A lot goes on behind the scenes because I deal with a traumatic brain injury every single day. But in that moment, my why changed from I just love this business to like being physically fit actually saved my life. Less than 1 in 10 people survive crashes like I had. People that do survive crashes don't go back to life before crash. And I live a pretty normal life with the exception of what I deal with behind the scenes because of my brain injury. So, that's kind of my backstory and a little bit about me. And in the middle of all of this, I went on to have a child. So they told me it was impossible because I shattered my pelvis. I struggled with infertility and miscarriage before my crash. And then I went in for my final pelvic x-ray, 5 months after my crash, maybe. And they told me I was pregnant and they couldn't x-ray me. And I had a lovely little girl. 42 weeks later, so after they told me it wasn't viable, she was 2 weeks late, which was about 13 months after my crash happened. So really crazy stuff, and definitely stuff that makes you think what if I wasn't in good shape? What if I wasn't healthy? But on top of being physically healthy, to Rose's point, I was mentally fit, right? And this community helped me kind of get through all of this and want to get better. So I am eternally grateful for that. And then I'm going to tell you one more quick thing, and then I promise I'm going to get into my spiel, but this is important for what I'm about to talk about. So at the time, I worked at a very large Fortune 10 company. I had been there about 13 years. And while I was still on maternity leave, so was 3 months after I had my daughter, I got laid off. I lost my job. And I remember being you're a disaster after you have a child, your hormones are a mess and you just feel like crap anyway. And then I was like, well, this is basically the world telling me I can't have a 9 to 5 and I can't be a great mom and be a great employee. And I was absolutely devastated. And while I was devastated, I was lucky because I had this business and I had built it to a point where I was making a full-time income, insert income disclaimer, right? And so financially, I didn't have to stress. And this is what I want to get through to you in this presentation is about being an all-in part-time coach. Just because you don't do this 6, 8, 10 hours a day doesn't mean that you can't be all in with everything that you have. So don't say like, oh, I only have so much time. That's fine. It's okay that you only have a little bit of time. You can still work this business to a point where you're earning a very solid income. And that's what I really focus on. So I'm going to take you through my time management, how I work my month, what works for me, and how I make this work. And I'll tell you, I did go back to work about 6 months after I left my job, 5 months after I lost my job, but I didn't have to rush. I was able to find a job that I loved. I'm making almost double what I did when I lost my job 3 years ago, which is absolutely crazy. But it's because I like believed in myself and I knew I could do better and I didn't have to take just the first thing that came to me, right? So that's been huge for me, not like this business, not just in what I do here, but also in my, it's helped me in my 9 to 5. I've developed this massive presence on LinkedIn and like, I know how to work social media, and everyone at work is always so impressed because I work with a lot of very technical people and they're like, how do you like do both? How are you super technical and super creative? And I want to be like, you should look at my side hustle, but I don't say that. But it's been really, really cool to like see how Beachbody's actually been able to help me grow and earn more at my 9 to 5. So the first thing that I do is what I call the part-time power hour. And you guys all have the activity tracker. I know that Rose just showed it in the back office. But I want to make sure that I do these things. I have kind of weekly items that I do every single week and daily items, right? So every single week, I always have the right mindset and the right intentions to help as many people as possible. And I think that's really important that you focus on the number of people that you contact, that you reach out to, and you really look at it like you're helping people. And I think if you're doing it right, people are going to thank you for reaching out and following up, right? Because they're going to like thank you for not giving up on them and really wanting to work with them. I personally do a Fit Tip Friday newsletter every single week. I use the Coach Online Office as my email blaster. I don't pay for any service. I don't pay for anything, just in transparency. I do everything on my own. I don't have an assistant. And I'm not saying it's bad if you do. I'm just sharing that because when I share that these are the things I do, these are really the things that I personally do. So usually for my Fit Tip Friday newsletter, I go into the Beachbody blog and I grab something out from that week and I kind of cut it down and make it into like people love like top 5 salad recipes, top 5, whatever. Like if you give them like 3 to 5 bullets on things, they love that. So I send that out every Friday. And it's okay to do that because you're not like claiming a blog as your own, right? You're putting it in a newsletter to send to your customers. I do a blog post of my own every single week. Usually take something from Facebook that got good engagement and kind of lengthen it out into a blog post. I do an Instagram live and I do a Facebook live every single week. These are not always business focused though. So my child really likes to cook and she really likes to eat. So I do a lot of Facebook lives with her on that. It's not necessarily business, but I think it helps the algorithm if you're using these features. So I make sure to do them. And then I always focus on this, and this is an obvious one, but no excuses and no complaining, like just do your work, like just do your work. So every single day, I add 3 to 5 people to my network. I return all of my messages. And I'll tell you, I hate responding to Instagram DMs. I don't mind Messenger. I just hate DMs. So I always do that first. I do 1 to 2 Facebook posts a day. My goal this year is to breadcrumb more about coaching. I just did one tonight. I've been struggling a little bit with it, just in transparency, because they've been very strict about what we can and can't say, like as far as income goes. So I've been trying to keep things like really high level and make sure I don't violate anything as far as compliance goes. So that's been a little bit of a challenge for me, but definitely a goal. Invite 2 to 3 people daily to my group. And I always have a group starting. So I always have something to invite them to. I start to form relationships with people that interacted with me, right? So follow up and have conversations with them. I post on my team page. I really like to post on my team page about something I see in my newsfeed that is working for someone. I think that's a really great way to engage your team with things. So that's awesome. I aim for 10 Instagram or Facebook stories a day, and I try to spread them out into like at least 3 different chunks. And I've been working on getting better about having more interactions, so more polls, more things people can click on. And this is what I do every single day. And I'll tell you, I probably don't do it every single Sunday, but I at least do it 6 days a week, sometimes 7, every single day. And these things don't take a lot of time, talking 30 to 60 minutes, but it's the consistency that's definitely built my business. And then I also read and listen to personal development. So one thing I realized about myself mid last year is that I really hate to read. I like forced myself to read because I thought that's what we had to do. I have to read, but I've recently discovered audiobooks and it's changed my life. So I highly recommend that you find something that works for you as far as consuming personal development. I like podcasts, but I like the length of a book. So the audiobook is like a good balance of podcast / length of book for me. And I work on me every single day. I lead by example. If you look at my Instagram stories today, I attempted the Let's Get Up workout. I am not a dancer. Funny enough, I sell the crap out of every dance program because people are like, that girl is so terrible. If she can do it, I can do it. So just make sure that you're sharing everything that you're going through and what's working and what's not for you as well. I want to show you one of my calendars. This one just happens to be from January, but I just basically make sure that I have something starting at least 3 of the 4 Mondays of the month. So you can see usually the first Monday of the month, I have a free group, but because 9-Week Control Freak launch dates, I ended up starting a 9-Week Control Freak group on January 4th. And then I did the free no resolution challenge on the 11th. In a normal month, I'd start the free group the first Monday and the paid group challenge group, right? Someone doing a program the following Monday. And then, so the reason I do it like that is because I like to get people in my free group so I can start forming relationships with them, seeing who's paying attention, who's doing things, whatever. And then I will start to invite them to my paid group, people that want to buy a challenge pack, bod, something. And then those people, I'll see who's doing stuff in there and I'll start to invite them to my What is Coaching group. And then I'll start to onboard coaches. So that's kind of how I work my month. Free group into challenge group, into What is Coaching group, into coaches, and rinse and repeat. And this is what works for me. When I first started, I got a lot of squirrel syndrome, which was like, oh, this person's doing that group, this person's doing that group, this person's doing that group. And I found it very time consuming to have to always be inviting to other things. So being able to simply invite to one thing at a time was really helpful for me to stay focused and really helpful for me for my time management. This doesn't have to be the exact format that you use, but I do recommend that you have something to be inviting to. I've seen people that alternate challenge group, What is Coaching every other week. They don't do free groups. I've seen people do free groups at the end of the month, whatever works for you, but this is what personally works for me. I only keep 2 challenge groups on Facebook, and then I open bod groups for specific programs. So what I mean by that is I have a free challenge group. So people that basically they have an account with me. It doesn't have to be a bot account, just a free account. There's a membership form you can have people fill out so they become your customer if they ever were to buy something. And then I have a group that's for people that have bought something, anything, Energize, Shakeology, Challenge Pack, bod, something. They're doing something Beachbody. And those are kind of my 2 groups. And that's what I run my groups in. And then when there's program launches, I run a group on bod. Like I said, that's what works for me. I know that some people love bod groups. They run everything on there. You have to do what works for you, right? And I think bod groups is lovely. I just find it harder to run a longer challenge group on there. And I found that I was losing people, people were not moving over to the next group and getting lost. So this is how I run things and how this works for me. And I talked a lot about in the last slide, inviting people. So inviting people to a group, and people are going to say, well, how do I invite people? And this is the biggest key, I think, to this business. I would probably say that maybe in the very beginning, 10% of people came to me and I had to invite 90%. Maybe now it's more 80-20. But we're talking, I'd only have between 10 and 20% of the business I do today if I sat around and waited for people to come to me. So that's a decision you have to make. Do you want a business that's 10 to 20% of its potential, or do you want a business that's 100% of its potential? And that's the difference between inviting and not inviting. So I always recommend having conversations with people and asking questions. So at compliment, comment, question. I love that blue dress. I have one just like it. Where did you get it? Something really simple like that, so you can start to engage with people. I also want to make sure that you're talking to people that you actually want to talk to. I always say like throwing baloney at the wall and seeing if it sticks isn't going to work for you probably. But if you really hone in on your niche and you understand that these people are who you want to talk to and are people that you find engaging, even if they don't purchase anything, maybe you made a new friend or maybe they'll come down the road. But I think it's really hard to invite people and keep conversations with people that you have no interest in getting to know. That's just my personal opinion. I'm not saying it doesn't work. I'm just saying for me, I really try to engage with people that I think are actually truly interesting people, especially if I think that I would eventually invite them to my team, because I want to build a team of people that are like-minded to myself. I always make sure to use their name. So this is especially important on Instagram where it's like Fit Baby 213, right? We'll try to look up Fit Baby's name. It takes about 2 seconds, but the Hey Girls and the Hey Babes, people catch on to that really fast and it seems really not genuine. Not everyone has their name on there. I'm not saying it's always possible, but take the 2 seconds and try to figure out what their name is. This is like a social media post planner type slide. So find your best times and make those your most engaging posts. So for me, like I don't get a ton of engagement on Friday and Saturday. So I usually post like more of a meme or something kind of basic, but not really a call to action. My calls to action are best Sunday to Thursday usually, and at night. That's how I get my most traction. But these are just some ideas. If you're like, I have no idea what to post today, you can post something along this line and with this theme. This is something to help you guys with stories. This is something I really struggled with working full time. I'm like, I'm sitting at a desk. Yay. Does anyone really want to see me sitting at a desk? Right. But I think if you kind of search a breadcrumb in your social media stories, you will see a lot of traction that way. So I always aim for at least 3 different chunks. So if you're like at work and you're taking pictures, you don't have to post them right away, right? But maybe you post like a chunk of 3 or 4 before work and a chunk in the middle of the day at your lunch break and a chunk at night or whatever. Mine tend to be really random because I don't get breaks. Like I don't have like set corporate breaks. And so even pre-COVID, I worked from home. Like I've been working from home forever. I'm in high tech and it's just something that's always been okay in my field. So, I just do it when I have time. And sometimes that's at lunch and sometimes it's at 3 p.m. You know what I mean? It doesn't really matter when I do it. But like tonight, I had a message with someone who said that they've lost 7 pounds in the past 30 days. That's freaking amazing. So I'm going to screenshot that and put it in my stories, right? Little stuff like that. And if you don't have stuff like that to put in your stories, you can post in your challenge group, ask who has scale or non-scale victories, start to screenshot and post that stuff and put it in your stories. So that's a really great way to engage people as well. And now I'm going to go through my top 5 time management tips with you. So I always recommend you have a plan and stick to it. Always have a business plan for the month. What are you going to be inviting to starting this Monday, next Monday, the Monday after? Like, how is your month going to be structured, especially with the Let's Get Up launch coming? How is that going to be structured? Do you have a sneak peek? Do you know when your challenge group's starting? Make sure you have your next month, 2, 3 planned out. Super, super, super important. Do it every day, every single day. You have to do it every single day. So incredibly important. That is where you're going to see the growth, is in that consistency. I think Autumn said it in 9 Week Control Freak at some point. She was like, I think it was like discipline trumps motivation all day long. And it's so true. Like that bit of discipline and that bit of consistency is how you're going to grow your business. Put the necessary before the fun. So I hate answering my Instagram DMs, but I do it first. I will tell you, when I started this business, I'm not good with graphics. I have really great ideas and then I put pen to paper and it looks like my dog did it. It's terrible. And I was watching all these women and men have these amazing graphics and I was like, I don't know how to do this stuff. And I would spend like 3 hours and it would still look like my dog did it. So if you're feeling like that and you want to have something that you're just not great at, try to outsource it. There's great websites like Fiverr where it's literally $5 to get like a graphic made or something really basic that you might need done. And that will really, really help you. And and make sure that you can put your time into things that you need to put your time into. Take your hardships and turn them into success. I always recommend that. Obviously, I have this super extreme situation where I have been through this horrendous crash and trauma. And not everyone is going to have that. And I didn't have that for the first 2 years. Like I said, I had a mentor look at me and was like, I don't even know why you're here. Right. But if you can take your hardship and share about what might have changed your life with it and how other people can change their life too, I think it can make a huge impact. I always say turning your mess into your message. And I don't just mean with your business. So one of the things that I did, the driver that hit me was distracted. And I met another woman whose father had been killed by a distracted driver when he was changing his tire on the side of the road. The woman was programming her GPS. And we started to work in Massachusetts. We didn't have a hands-free bill, which means you could just drive by holding your phone. You weren't allowed to text and drive, but basically if you weren't texting, you could do anything you wanted. And we went on to pass the hands-free bill here in Massachusetts. Like I was at Governor Baker's signing, really, really cool stuff. I testified. I'm like the least political person ever, but I testified at the State House. I mean, it was crazy to be part of that movement. It had been going on for like 10 years, maybe like 7 years when I started. But after 3 years, we passed the bill in November 2019. And like, what an amazing accomplishment. But I could have sat back and been like, this is too hard for me, right? This is too hard to share. But sometimes I think that sharing what you're going through can help others and can literally change laws in my case. But it's also really therapeutic for you to share kind of what you're going through and inspire others at the same time. And then my last tip is to stop scrolling. You're not going to get inspired by scrolling. If you're looking for inspiration and you don't know what to post about, or you're feeling like you have writer's block or whatever, you can't find a picture, pick up your personal development book and start reading. Don't start scrolling. Like you're just going to get lost into a rabbit hole. I'm not saying never scroll. I am a huge fan of TikTok. I think it's super fun. I love it. It's my release and I certainly get on it and scroll. Last night I got sucked into a black hole about like Appalachian people who like live in the wilderness. I was like, I don't even know what's going on here, but I was done with my work is my point, right? I don't start that stuff until I'm done with what I have to do for my business. And I think that's really important. So if that's your release and you love scrolling, cool, do it when you're done. Okay. My last point, and then I'm happy to take any questions you guys have, is don't be inspired, take some action. So people say, oh, this is great. And I think this is one of the biggest roadblocks we have in this business is we're like, we hear a really great idea or some sort of slide like deck like this. And we're like, wow, that's so awesome. But you got to take action now. So what does your calendar look like for this month, next month? What are you going to start inviting to? And then you've got to start reaching out. I think one of the biggest businesses or the biggest difference in this business versus other business is that we're not selling just a consumable and walking away. So there are a lot of people that sell handbags and candles and all sorts of different things. And I think it's lovely. And I have respect for all of those people, and any sort of business that you grow yourself is absolutely amazing. But this is a health and fitness lifestyle change. It is very hard for someone to come to you and say, I need to change my life. Like I'm underweight, I'm overweight, I'm uncomfortable, I've got high blood pressure, whatever it is. Like I need to start working out, I need to eat better, whatever. It's very hard for someone to come to you and say that, which is often why we have to invite and we have to reach out. It's very easy for me to say, I love that handbag, I want to buy it, right? That's it. Someone sends me a link to the handbag, I buy it, and we're done. But our work starts after that person purchases every single time. And it's extremely important that we are someone for them to lean on and someone that they know that they can trust. And that is really why we have to invite, and we have to start getting bold and reaching out, because that is extremely, extremely important as we grow this business. So that's what I have for you tonight. Quick, dirty, to the point. Happy to share this deck with you. And I can stop my share. And if you guys have any questions, I'm happy to answer them.
Sorry, my mouse got stuck.
Oh, you're good. You're good.
Thanks, Jillian. You know what? What you've said is just so simple. And I think we all need to remember, like, it can be that simple. Like, we don't have to overcomplicate it. We have to have a plan and we have to put action into it, but it doesn't have to be like this huge mountain that we make by doing all the little 1 to 3 new people a day. If you do that every day, yeah, you're going to grow a huge network. But it's the times that we don't do it for weeks or months. And then we're like, our network's not growing. Well, you only added one person for the last month. That would be 30 people, right? Better than nothing. So what questions? Oh, I see one in the chat. Rachel said, this did not overwhelm me because of the way you broke it all down. Thank you. And she asks, how long did it take you to figure out this system that works for you? So how long did it take you to figure this out?
I'd say a solid like 6 to 9 months, right? So, when I first started, like I said, I had the squirrel syndrome. And if someone is, the other thing I started doing was like reaching out to other coaches. So if someone was like, I'm doing a Buns and Babes book, I don't know, whatever group. And I was like, that sounds fun. I want to join that. Like if anyone wants to do with me, I'd be like, cool. And if that wasn't on my calendar, I started saying like, hey, whatever. Hey, Beth, like, I think your group sounds super cool. Like, do you mind sharing your template with me? I'm happy to share the template for the group that I'm doing this week. Right. So that's something I started doing as well to prevent myself from getting like all squirreled out with all the different groups that were going on. But the first 6 months, I was definitely just like throwing baloney at a wall. But I had good traction in the beginning because I was inviting a lot. I was just really overwhelmed and had no time management. So there's nothing wrong with inviting to a bunch of different things. I was just sharing tonight, like how I work this business 30 to 60 minutes a day, right? And without feeling overwhelmed. But it did take me like a solid 6 months, 9 months. And then I went to NLC in January 2016, maybe like a year and a half into the business, I want to say, because I hit elite my first full year in the business. So in 20, is that right? I don't know. I've confused myself, but I went to NLC and Melanie Mitro presented something not quite like this, but like a similar system where she like explained how she sets up her calendar. And that's when I started really like setting up a calendar and making sure that I had everything kind of set for the next few months.
And I think you said it already, but like you work what? Like for your Beachbody business, you would say 30 to 60 minutes a day?
Yeah, I think in the beginning I worked more, right? Like I didn't have a child in the beginning. I didn't work a ton. I'd say maybe like 10 to 15 hours, but I'm probably down to like 7 a week. And I know that sounds terrible, but that's where I am. And that's what I've been able to figure out and sustain. But I need to be clear, like, I'm not going for top coach, right? Like, that's not my goal. My goal is to build a long-term sustainable residual income for myself and be able to balance it with my 9 to 5. So I don't think that you can be top coach working 7 to 10 hours a week. I don't, right? But I've been in Success Club since the day I started. I've been Premier one time, Elite twice, but I'm solely focused on income and building for income.
Love it. Anybody else want any questions?
Yes, actually, how you just use, sorry, I can't really talk. I lost my voice. When you send out your emails and you just use the Beachbody thing, what does it give you at a time that you can send? Is it whatever?
Yeah, it's however many people you have loaded in there. If you want to send from your personal email instead of your Beachbody email, I think it's 100 max, but I never do that. I just use my Beachbody email.
And then do people email you back on there and then you just
Mhm.
use that form with
Yeah,
them?
they can reply.
Okay.
Yep. Yep. So when they moved to the new COO, that was the one thing that got worse. It was way better in the old Coach Online office. You could like add pictures and hyperlinks and set like times. Like if I could I could like do it tonight to set out on Friday, but now I have to do it on Friday. So that's kind of annoying, but I like that everything's integrated in there and I don't have to like upload it to a new system. There's also been some issues with like, I know some systems don't like MLMs using them. So I'm
Right.
afraid that I'm going to like put a ton of time into setting something up and then it's just gonna, but in your online office too, you guys, you can add prospects. Like there's a section where you can actually add your own people, even if they're not your customers. So you can use that as well. And that's under manage my business, just so you know.
Okay.
in the
Thank you.
online.
And then can you, someone asked, can you add graphics? I know you said you can't add certain things, no graphics, right? So it's-
No, used to be able to.
Okay.
It's very annoying. I wish they would re-update it because it doesn't seem like a massive, I mean, I'm in high tech. I'm like, I could just code it for you really fast, but that wouldn't fly, I don't think.
So you're saying
But
like just text, like with just words, people are still responding to your email.
yeah. And I don't, so I send out a fit tip Friday, which is like kind of like an information usually. And then at the end, I'll like talk about like, oh, and salted caramel launched, here's the link. So you can like put a link, but it's not like a hyperlink and it's not like, you're not like highlighting salted caramel and having it go there. You have to like copy and paste the link.
And then Jessica had a question. When you bring on new coaches, what are your first main areas of focus to teach that and duplicate your income-driven approach while still encouraging Success Club and shinier objects like rank?
Yeah, so when I bring on new coaches, I really focus on like helping them learn the vital behaviors. And I have like a whole course, but a lot of people seem to want to just like jump in and do the work. So I have a one-on-one call when I bring on new coaches and like have a conversation with them about what their goals are and where they want to go. And then I work with them to get there. But I have units. They're not called units anymore. What are they called in your team page now? They just changed the name. Anyone know?
I forget what they're called, but I know.
But they're anyway, I have units with like the 4 vital behaviors, and then I have like little snippets on every single unit in there. So I'll tag them in there and be like, start here, right? And they can start to learn how it all works.
So Sarah asked a question. She said, so to invite people to a new month group, can I do that without them purchasing first? I think she's a new coach.
The free group? Yeah, so I have like a free group where I like this month. So this month we just kicked off yesterday. And this month what we're focusing on is like we're doing 2 weeks of free bod, but it's not even like the 2-week trial. It's 2 weeks of pre-paywall workouts, and then they can purchase a week of Shakeology if they want with it. I think that's the wrong link. I think it's analysis, SIS.
Sorry, I can't spell.
You're good. You're good. Yeah, so that's something that I choose to do, but people can just fill out a free form in your online office and not have to put in a credit card. It's like basically their address and their email and maybe their phone number, I think, and they'll show up as a, I always recommend you do that for 2 reasons. One is if they have another coach, you'll find out right then and there. So you're not going to poach anyone or do anything sketchy because they'll be like, oh, I already have an account. And you're like, cool. Do you have a coach? And then you can have a conversation about that. Or they'll say like, oh, I signed up 14 years ago and no, I don't have a coach, but then you can just have them switch to you. The second reason is that if they decide they want to purchase something at 3 a.m. and they ping you and you're not around, that it will obviously go to you because they already have an account. So I always recommend that if you put anyone in a group that they get a free account. I'm not talking about a free bot account. I'm talking about just like a free Team Beachbody account.
And then how long are your groups, your free groups, and what kind of content going forward month to
So they're
month?
usually 5 to 7 days. This one's 14, but they're usually 5 to 7 days. They're very simple things. So we did the no resolution. We talked all about like goal setting and not setting resolutions in January. February, I think I did a clean week challenge. March, I can't remember what I did. This month, we're doing the pre-paywall bod challenge. I usually do like a walk in water challenge once or twice a year, once in the spring, once in the fall, where I encourage people to take 10,000 steps a day and drink half their body weight in water. Really simple things like that, but it's an open group. So like I only run that set challenge 1 week a month, but I'm keeping the group open all the time and just adding to it.
Cool. Yeah, so it's ongoing. Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. Anybody for one last question? All right. Jillian, thank you so much. We're all just going to go take some action, 1 to 2 people, and just do it daily and consistently. Come up with a plan for the month, people. No, and yes, guys, if you haven't done the Let's Get Up workout, and I left Jillian when you said like you're a horrible dancer. I am so bad, but the reel that I did on Saturday with my mom got like 3,500 views of me being like ridiculously like doesn't even look like I'm dancing because that's how bad it is. But yeah, people can be like, all right, if she can do it and she looks that bad, I can absolutely do it. So it makes just for people to be like, I can do that too. And it's funny and relatable. So make sure you guys get up and do that. So
yeah, another thing to do if you're really terrible, or maybe even if you're really good, but like do like now you can stitch on TikTok, but like like before the days of being able to do that, I remember on Country Heat, I'd like record Autumn doing it, and then I'd like record like on the TV, and then I record myself like side by side, and I would look like so ridiculous when she launched Country Heat. But I'm telling you, people loved it because they're like, wow, she's so terrible. Like I can't be any worse than that. So
that's a good idea. Well, thank you, everyone. Have a great night, and we'll see you next week.
thank you.
Thanks.
Nice to meet you guys. Bye.